Hey guys, Steve here. Today what we're going to be doing is fitting a Hilux hood scoop on a 120 series Prado. There's the Prado there. It's actually a 1KZ. Just before we start, there's two ways to do this. You can use the 2 bar and the 3 bar. This is actually the 3 bar off a Hilux, and you can see there's some bolts at the bottom and a cutout. We want to line this up so it fits directly over the top mounted intercooler in the vehicle, which is, as you can see, just here. Now, it's very important before we start cutting to have a template, and I think the easiest way to do that is with cardboard. So what I've done is basically I've taken a sheet of cardboard and basically lined up where the studs come through, pushed them through, and then made a cut for where I want to have the bonnet cut. The other thing that you need to take into consideration is when these bolts actually go through these nuts, they may not be able to be fully accessible from underneath to do up the nuts. So just have a look at that spacing and make sure that you've got some nuts. Now in this case, I think we've got these, and all 4 at the front. We might not be able to get to these 2, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. And then the last thing that I do is I actually drill a pilot hole from underneath, which you can't really see there, but there's my little pilot hole. And then that gives me a reference point to the center of the bonnet. Now you could try and do this while the bonnet's on the car, but it's probably easier to do it in this sort of space when you're sort of not clambering over the top of the vehicle. Anyway, we're about to do our cut. We've masked it all up, and we're going to get to the juicy bit now of using the angle grinder. Hopefully we don't fuck it up. Okay, we're about to start cutting. Hopefully we get it right. Young kids, hearing protection, eye protection, I'm not doing it. Guard on your grinder, I'm not doing it. Please do it, don't follow my example. Disc brakes, cut you in the face, lose an eye, not worth it. Alright, so we've done this big dirty hole in the middle of the bonnet. Hopefully it's all square and lined up. We did double check. There's a couple of little extra areas that you've got to cut. There's a little bit of a cross member here. I just need to cut that down from there. And when that's out of the way, we'll be able to fit the intercooler scoop over the top. You can see that on the 120 series 1KZ, the actual intercooler position is offset. We've actually centered the scoop right in the middle of the bonnet, so it doesn't really matter because the airflow will still go down in here and get rammed down in here. So we'll show you what that looks like when we fit it up. Okay, so we've done our cut. We've got our holes that we lined up the studs for. I've actually spray painted the edge of the raw sheet metal with a clear primer just to make sure it doesn't rust. And now what I'm doing is I'm actually just drilling some pilot holes just for alignment, and then we'll end up doing some bigger holes to fit the studs through. Alright guys, so we've drilled all the holes. The scoop fits in perfectly. What we've realised is that these little standoffs are actually holding off the front, so it's actually sitting up, you know, about 1 centimetre too high. And I remember last time I did this, I actually had to check out the squares to fit it. Probably means the nuts that go underneath won't actually hold them from underneath, so we're actually going to have to put in a couple of little washers to spread to make the footprint wider for the nut to hold. So we need to actually make these little square cuts, which I'll do now. But yeah, which means these holes that I did at the front won't be relevant because we're actually checking out this notch. And as I said, I'll be putting some bigger washers underneath to actually hold across that square. So I've just done some grinds that way. My angle grinder won't allow me to cut that way, so I've got my little Dremel. I'm actually just going to cut that off with my Dremel just so I don't make a bigger hole than what I need to. So this is what the underside looks like. What I've actually done is where I've got exposed steel, I've actually used some clear coat just to go over the exposed steel there. And the other thing you can see is where I've had to notch out that area there, I'm actually going to place a washer in there just to cover the hole over, and then put the nut across that, and then that will actually close that gap up. So it's not ideal, but I guess it's what needs to be done to fit the bonnet scoop, which is from a Hilux. All right, so we've finished the bonnet scoop. Did take a little bit of doing, especially in that front area, but looks very nice. The gap is a little bit of a gap at the front, but I think it's acceptable. Hope you enjoy doing it. Cheers. Give us a like and a thumbs up. So here's the final product. It's come up very nice, and hope you enjoy my video. Cheers.